Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a thriller recommendations video. So let's go ahead and get started. Some of my friends come to me and they're like, hey, what do you recommend as far as like a thriller read? And I'm like, I'm glad you asked. I have some for you. So I've kind of broken down some books into like categories in a way. So I feel like if you like a certain like trope or setting, this might be the video for you. Say you're just getting into thrillers and you don't know really where to start and you don't really want to go too dark. I would recommend starting with one of these two Sherry LaPena books. I have The Couple Next Door and also A Stranger in the House. I feel like these are great like starter books, and they're also like super thin. Like they're not very long at all. They're not intimidating at all. I would definitely recommend these. I think I gave both of these like 4 stars, I believe. This one involves a woman who was speeding in a car accident, gets in an accident, and when she wakes up, she has no memory of like why she was running away, what she was doing on this part of town, and her husband is having to deal with what's going on. Also, she has this friend across the street who's been kind of like spying on her and stuff like that. So this one has a lot of secrets, a lot of twists and turns. The other one is The Couple Next Door. This one involves a married couple who just had a newborn. They kind of live in like these like townhomes, and one night they decide to have a date night with the couple next door, and they decide to leave the baby at home while taking the baby monitor, which is also broken. Like it's a video baby monitor. So they decide to go, have dinner and then, just go check on the baby like every like 30 minutes, I think. Well, when they get home, the baby is gone. So this one was pretty good. It had me on the edge of my seat of like, who really did it? Like, who can you trust exactly? So definitely check these out if you're just getting into thrillers. I think you would definitely enjoy these too. Say you're looking for a book that has like a detective, like a small detective crime homicide type vibes to it. I would recommend my most recent read, which is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillard. This involves a woman named Geo who actually has to go to jail for something that she did when she was a teenager with her boyfriend at the time, who is this sweet-based strangler. And she knew about a death of her best friend, and she has to go back in jail for 5 years for, I guess, being an accomplice. So she's now she's getting ready to get out of jail. The sweet-based strangler escaped years ago, and they think there's a detective in here who's on the case who thinks that this woman and the strangler are like connected in some way. So this one is really good. I would definitely recommend this one. I gave this one 4 stars, but it was definitely worth the read. Definitely check this one out. All right, so say you're looking for a good psychological thriller and maybe something that involves children. I think the best book that you can read is probably The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. This one involves a married couple who work in a hospital together. They have been trying to get pregnant for the longest time. They've also considered adoption. Well, one night there is this little girl who is brought into the hospital. Her name is Janie, and they found her like in like the worst conditions you can find, like severely like malnourished and like abused and everything like that. As these two people are, taking care of her in the hospital, they kind of grow this attachment towards her, and they file for emergency custody with hopes of maybe adopting her. Well, Janie has a lot of secrets, and let's just say like she's not the perfect child that everyone thinks she is. So definitely check this one out. I loved this book. I would highly, highly, highly recommend this one. All right, so say you're looking for a thriller, but you also like a little bit of romance. I've got 2 recommendations for you. I would try Verity by Colleen Hoover. I loved this book so much. This one involves a woman who has to go to a famous author's house because she's accepted a job to like kind of ghostwrite for the rest of the series of this author who was in a terrible accident and she can no longer write. So she's kind of ghostwriting for her, and she has to stay with her husband, like the author's husband, the author is upstairs, like hooked up to all these machines, and her son, and she finds an unpublished manuscript, and she learns a lot about this family, more than she signed up for. So definitely give this one a shot. I thought this was really good. It had the perfect amount of steam, lots of twists, big plot twist at the end, I think. So definitely give this one a shot as well. Next, this is an older book, but I swear this is one of my favorite books ever. This is my first adult book I've ever read in my life. It is Mr. Perfect by Linda Howard. This was published in 2000, so it is quite old. But this one is so good. I've recommended this multiple times to all my friends, and they loved it as well. This is a deliciously racy topic that Jane Bright and her 3 friends are pondering one night at their favorite after-hours hotspot, Mr. Perfect. Would he be tall, dark, and handsome, caring, heartwarming, or will just muscular do? As their conversation heats up and they concoct a tongue-in-cheek checklist that becomes an overnight sensation, spreading like wildfire at work and sizzling along email lines. But what began as a joke among friends turns deadly serious when one of the 4 women is murdered. Turning to her neighbor, an unpredictable police detective, for help, Jane must unmask a killer to save her friends and herself. Now, knowing whom to trust and whom to love is a matter of survival, as the dream of Mr. Perfect becomes a chilling nightmare. This one is so good. Please definitely check this one out. I would highly recommend this one. You will not be disappointed. And for my last category, say you want to read something about married couples. I've got 3 that I would recommend for you. The first one is going to be Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. This one is kind of hard to explain without giving too much away. This one is about a couple by the name of Jack and Grace who are married, and this is told in dual timelines of the present and the past when they just meet. And let's just say not everything is picture perfect as they portray. So definitely check this one out. This is my favorite of 2020. I would highly recommend this one. Yes, I love this book. Also, one that I read last year is For Better and Worse by Margot Hunt. This one involves, it starts off by saying, I think it's the prologue, where the couple are on their first date. They're college law students, and they kind of joke over dinner how they could plan the perfect murder. Now, a few years later, they're married. They're both lawyers. They have a child. Well, something happens at school where they are told that someone in their school may be sexually assaulting one of the students, and the parents have an idea that it may be one of their child's. So now, could they honestly plan the perfect murder? I loved this book, gave it 5 stars. Definitely check this one out too. And if you're looking for something like a hair bit darker, I would read something like My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This one is explained as Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Dexter, and the San Clarita Diet all in one book. This involves a husband and wife who are trying to spice things up with their marriage. And what they do is they stalk and lure women and murder them. And it's kind of like their marriage story. And this one just has a lot of twists and turns, a lot of suspense, like what exactly is going to happen. And I just absolutely love this book. I told my friend Kayla to read this one for over a year. She finally read it and she loved it. So definitely check this one out as well. All right, guys, that is all of my thriller recommendations at this time. I'm sure I'll have many coming in the future. But if you have any recommendations, leave them down in the comments below. Follow me on Instagram and subscribe to this channel. And I guess until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.